Welcome to Warhammer Warscroll Review. I am the Twin Coot, and in this video we take a look at the Flesh Eater Courts unit, the Crypt Ghouls.
Warscroll Review.
Crypt Ghouls are the backbone to most Flesh Eater Courts armies, so of course we will have to check them out on a Warscroll Review. Starting with a 6-inch move, these things are just your average infantry. Defensively, they are a bit below average, with 1 wound and 6-up save. Of course, they have the normal Bravery 10 and Deathless save, in line with other death models, so they will stick around a bit longer. One simple melee weapon that has 2 attacks that hit and wound in 4s. Each model in the unit can make an extra attack if the size of the squad is 20 or more, which is obviously a great boon to their abilities. Their final special rule is called Royal Approval. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for units of ghouls within 15 inches of an aberrant Ghoul King. Not bad, considering most Flesh Eater Courts armies will be including a Ghoul King by default. With their 2 special abilities, Crypt Ghouls could be putting out 3 attacks per model that reroll hit rolls of 1. Pretty simple, but effective for their cost. Which, by the way, they only cost 100 points for 10, and up to 360 points for 40. This price point is not bad at all, and really does encourage the use of Massive Regiments bonus. Take 3 units for 300 points for your minimum battle line, or bring 1 to 3 fleshed out units of 40 models to offer an insane amount of bodies. In either size squad, they make a solid screen to block out enemy charges or reserves. Send a unit off to go grab an objective too, and their small stature just might leave them either unnoticed or unhittable if they can get behind line of sight blocking terrain. Obviously, keep them near your heroes to block for them, as well as gain those sweet support abilities Flesh Eater Courts characters tend to give off. In a Flesh Eater Courts army, the ghouls will be able to make use of allegiance abilities as well as other models. Their main battle trait, Courts of Delusion, offers an army-wide enhancement for the length of the game. About half of them really don't help the ghouls much since it offers reroll 1s to hit, and they already have that ability. The delusion that does help these models quite a bit is called Crusading Army. This one allows the player to reroll run and charge rolls for their Flesh Eater Courts units. Kinda boring, yeah, but it will give them a solid speed boost on the tabletop and save command points for those sweet Flesh Eater Court command abilities, as opposed to ones like Forward to Victory and At the Double. Speaking of command abilities, Insane Bravery will always be a good reason to save 2 command points. With proper support nearby, the ghouls can regenerate significant casualties. The other portion of the battle trait is called Feeding Frenzy. Kind of a forgettable rule, but if you roll a die after a unit has completely wiped out a unit in the combat phase and you get a 6, they can fight again. Not only is rolling a 6 unlikely, but the unit would have to be engaged with 2 or more units for this to even matter. But ghouls will come in big units, so they will take up a lot of space and be able to engage more enemy units. So Feeding Frenzy will trigger sometimes, and when it does, attacking a second time with ghouls will be a ton of fun. Moving on with the Allegiance abilities, the only command trait or artifact that would help is called the Flayed Pennant, a magic item that is 1 use only. It increases charge moves by 3 for friendly Flesh Eater units wholly within 12 inches. 2d6 plus 3 is a solid charge, and makes it possible to charge even after deploying from reserves. Using this on a giant horde of ghouls to disperse and tie up multiple enemy shooting units might be a solid choice. In conjunction with the endless spell Chronomatic Cogs, it might be cool to send a wave of Crypt Ghouls at the opponent, charging 2d6 plus 5 inches, with a reroll due to delusions. With their base movement also enhanced by the cogs, they would be moving 8 inches. This means an average of a 20-inch charge. This is not quite a first turn charge, but even on the second turn, I bet you'd surprise an opponent pretty well by sending a horde of ghouls 20 inches to tie up all their backline shooting units. This extra charge range also allows the ghouls to make up for one of their disadvantages, their melee range. With so many models, they'll be tripping over each other in order to try to get all their attacks in. The added charge range allows the ghouls to surround as many models as possible and really spread out. that's about it for Allegiance abilities, plus the obvious deathless save I mentioned earlier. In terms of other units, Fleshier Courts have quite a few to augment the ghouls. The most obvious is probably the Crypt Ghouls Courtier. Not only does the hero heal back up to 5 models a turn on average, its ability, Trophy Hunter, offers another chance to add an attack to the ghouls. It triggers when it slays a model in the fight phase. If the ghouls are within 10 inches of the ghast, they gain an extra attack. Combine that with what we already have, and that's 4 attacks per model. Not bad. Now, triggering this is a bit easier said than done, so check out the Warscroll review for the Crypt Ghouls already on the channel for more details. It's also worth mentioning that Vargulf Courtier can also return ghoul models to a unit in the same fashion as a Crypt Ghast. Next up are the 3 Ghoul King variants. They each have a unique spell that would augment the Crypt Ghouls. Plus, the Abhorrent Ghoul King on foot can summon 10 ghouls with their once per game command ability. This version of Summon Men at Arms is a solid choice, but probably a bit overshadowed by others. Still, don't completely write off being able to summon a unit of chaff right where and when you need it. 2 units if you take the obligatory command trait Majestic Horror. Back to the unique spells, the Ghoul King on foot has Black Hunger. This spell offers a buff we just keep running into, +1 attack. Casting on a 5 within 18 inches makes it pretty useful. And for anyone counting, we're up to 5 attacks per ghoul. The Ghoul King on Terrorgeist offers a spell called Unholy Vitality. This one casts on a 6 within 18 inches. The spell's effects bestow a unit a 5-up save after the save, just like Deathless Courtiers. This would make the ghouls somewhat more durable, as it'd save a third of your models. Cool, but probably better on another target. The Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon offers another offensive spell, Feeding Frenzy. Wait, we already did that one. Oh, okay, this is a different one. This version is a spell that's cast on a 6 and allows models within 10 inches to re-roll their wound rolls. It's not wholly within, but it's pretty similar. It specifies models, but it can affect multiple units, so just jam as many ghouls as you can around your zombie dragon and go to town. If you're willing to take the ghouls outside of a Flesh Eater Court's army, then check out the Vampire Lord. Another command ability that would add +1 attack, so you could potentially have 6 attacks per goddamn ghoul. The last thing I want to mention as far as synergies go is a Warscroll battalion. You've probably heard of it before, as it's fairly popular. It's called Ghoul Patrol. This is probably the single biggest boon to the ghouls' effectiveness. It includes 3 units of ghouls and 1 Ghast Courtier, things you're probably already taking. Now, it does cost just under 200 points for the Warscroll alone, so it is pricey, but the enhancements it gives are awesome. First of all the models are placed in reserves and get deployed in the first movement phase. If you take second turn, this gives you a distinct advantage over shooting armies, as a huge chunk of your army would be untargetable. In the first movement phase, deploy the ghouls within 6 inches of the table edge, and more than 9 inches from an enemy. If we go back to the Flayed Pennant Chronomatic Cog combination, we would be +5 to charge, and therefore only need to roll a 4 on 2d6 to charge first turn. That's pretty bonkers. Throw in a Ghoul King on Terrorgeist to summon 1 or 2 units of Crypt Horrors, also making use of the +5 to charge, and at this point you have a really solid first turn strike. The other part of this battalion is called Drawn to Battle. Roll a die for each unit of ghouls from the battalion and add that many models to the unit. This uncommon ability is extremely effective and can take the ghouls above starting numbers. Obviously it can't be used in the first turn because you won't have the ghouls on the table yet, but from second turn on, the ghouls' ranks will swell. If you're missing any casualties, be sure to use Courtier healing abilities first to try to get as close to starting numbers as possible. And also, can I just mention the amazing fluff justification for this rule? Flesh Eater Courts have trouble strategizing, so their outflanking leaves stragglers. Those ghouls later wander onto the battlefield and rejoin their army. So, when facing ghouls, just focus fire them down and don't let the courtiers heal back any models. Remember, the Flesh Eater Courts player will almost always use insane bravery on them, so you really have to kill them to the model. When facing the Ghoul Patrol, do not forget to screen to the sides instead of in front of you. If you can push their deployment out, you can really hurt their tactics and possibly stop them from charging anything valuable first turn. Crypt Ghouls receive a 4 out of 5. They are a really solid battle line in the Flesh Eater Courts army and have a lot of synergies within the faction. Not only can this unit screen, it can pack a surprising punch through sheer volume of attacks. What do you think of Crypt Ghouls? What war scrolls would you like to see reviewed next on the channel? Let me know your answers, thoughts, and questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.